I think Rúben Amorim feels that if he'd been allowed to sign one or two experienced players this month, and once the players who were away at AFCON had come back, then United would have had a very good chance of finishing in the top 5 places.
Manchester United sacking Rúben Amorim was widely labeled a huge mistake. Fans, pundits, and club legends all said the same thing. But were they actually right?
To answer that, I studied every match Amorim coached at Manchester United. Then I went further, revisiting his entire journey at Sporting Lisbon. The goal was simple: understand why clubs like Liverpool and West Ham were desperate to sign him, and why his time at Old Trafford ended in chaos. This is the story of one vision, 14 months, and a decision that may haunt United.
The end came fast. His reign would be remembered as the worst of the Premier League era, a 38% win rate, only 28 points from his first 29 Premier League matches. United suffered their first ever defeat to a 4th division side, endured 8 winless matches in a row, and finished 15th in the 2024-25 season. They scored only 42 league goals, the lowest total in club history.
Amorim arrived to fix the damage left by Erik ten Hag. Instead, results got worse. To understand how it reached this point, we have to go back. Rúben Amorim's story is unusual. Developed at Benfica, he somehow became adored by Sporting supporters. As a player, he won 3 league titles and represented Portugal at the 2010 World Cup. He was never a star, but he was reliable, versatile, and tireless. A serious injury forced him to retire at 32, pushing him into coaching. He started at Casa Pia, but left after licensing issues. Then came a defining choice. Amorim rejected Benfica's B team and joined Braga, demanding full control. The results were immediate. Braga surged from 8th to 3rd, went unbeaten, and won the League Cup. Sporting acted quickly, paying a huge release clause. He repaid them instantly. In his first full season, Sporting won their first league title in 19 years. Order replaced chaos. Amorim lost only 1 league match and broke the dominance of Porto and Benfica. After a runner-up finish and European disappointment, he rebuilt again. Sporting won another league title, their 20th, with a comfortable margin. They added 2 Taça da Liga trophies and a Portuguese Super Cup. He also built stars. Ugarte, Palhinha, Pedro Porro, and Victor Gyökeres all flourished under him. That is why Manchester United believed he was the solution. Since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, United had cycled through 9 managers, and every one of them failed. Amorim arrived with one clear message: he would not change his system. His tactical identity was non-negotiable. Everything about Rúben Amorim starts with his system. He never hid it. A back 5 by design, a 3-4-3 in possession, a 5-2-3 without the ball. At Sporting, this shape allowed him to maximize technical attackers. Marcus Edwards and Pedro Gonçalves thrived in the half spaces, producing some of the best football of their careers. But the biggest revelation was Victor Gyökeres. Strong, fast, relentless, and devastating in transition, he became one of Europe's most feared forwards under Amorim.
The structure produced statement nights. Sporting knocked Arsenal out of the Europa League and dismantled Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. The numbers backed it up. Sporting averaged 2.38 points per game across 136 matches. In the 136 league games before his arrival, they averaged just 2.13. Benfica and Porto were ahead of them. Under Amorim, Sporting closed the gap and then surpassed expectations. That is why, on November 1st, 2024, Manchester United presented Rúben Amorim as their new head coach. United paid £9.25 million to bring him in. What followed was brutal. United recorded their worst modern Premier League season, finishing 15th with 42 points. They exited the FA Cup against Fulham, lost to Tottenham in the League Cup, and were beaten by Spurs again in the Europa League final in Bilbao. The result was United's first trophyless season since 2022 and no European football for the first time since 2014.
Despite the collapse, United spent heavily in the summer of 2025. Benjamin Sesko, Brian Mbeumo, and Matthias Cunha all arrived for fees above £60 million, while goalkeeper Sen Lammens joined from Royal Antwerp for £18.2 million. Still, United collected just 7 points from their opening league matches, their worst start since 1992. After a humiliating League Cup defeat to fourth-tier Grimsby Town, Amorim openly questioned his future. His comment, "Sometimes I hate my players, sometimes I love them," became infamous.
At that moment, the qualities that once made Amorim admired in Portugal began to work against him. His consistency started to look like stubbornness. His unwavering commitment to the 3-4-3 frustrated fans and reportedly caused friction with the United hierarchy. Players looked unsure of their roles, and individual mistakes piled up in a squad already damaged by the end of Erik ten Hag's era. Still, Amorim refused to deviate. He stuck to Plan A, convinced that short-term suffering would eventually lead to long-term success.
The results never followed. United won only 2 of their final 6 league games. Across 63 games under Amorim, United won 24, drew 18, and lost 21, the worst win ratio of any permanent Manchester United manager. His 1.23 points per game was the lowest of any United boss since Sir Alex Ferguson retired.
Defensively, the numbers were just as alarming. United conceded 1.53 goals per game, the worst average in their Premier League history, and kept clean sheets in only 15% of matches. So the question becomes unavoidable. Do these numbers mean Rúben Amorim is a bad coach? The answer is no, because football heritage exists. The poor results were not just about Amorim. They were the product of a decade of structural failure, instability, and decisions made long before he arrived.
Since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, the club has slowly collapsed under poor leadership, bad recruitment, and repeated financial mistakes. Ferguson set an impossible standard. In 26 years, he managed over 1,500 matches, winning nearly 900. He averaged more than 2 points per game and delivered 13 league titles, 2 Champions Leagues, 5 FA Cups, and 4 League Cups. When he left, the structure left with him.
David Moyes inherited the job next. He lasted just 10 months. It was the club's first managerial dismissal since the 1980s. Louis van Gaal followed. He won the FA Cup and was still dismissed days after lifting a trophy.
Jose Mourinho delivered United's strongest results since Ferguson, winning the Europa League and finishing second in the league, yet was still dismissed. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought stability and reached a Europa League final, but left without trophies. Erik ten Hag won 2 domestic cups and finished third, but was sacked after a poor start to the 2024-25 season.
The pattern is undeniable. Managers change, styles change, players change. The outcome does not. This was never just a Rúben Amorim problem. It is a Manchester United problem that has existed since Ferguson walked away. Until the internal structure changes, no coach can truly fix this club.
That said, Amorim was not without fault. There were signs of progress. But at Manchester United, patience is limited. Amorim made serious mistakes. His refusal to adapt became decisive. Club sources claimed there was not enough visible evolution. He was backed in the market, given control over key decisions, and allowed to sideline Marcus Rashford, a move that aged badly as Rashford revived his career elsewhere. United spent over £200 million and ranked among the league's biggest spenders. In that context, the margin for error disappeared. He fully backed the club's decision to sign 3 attackers instead of reinforcing midfield, a gamble that never paid off. With no European football, United had more training time and fewer excuses. The conditions were there.
After his sacking, club sources insisted there were no ultimatums and no internal war, but tension was obvious. Sporting director Jason Wilcox reportedly pushed Amorim to move away from his rigid 3-4-2-1 system. Amorim refused. That loyalty, once his identity, became his weakness. His inflexibility limited the team and created friction at board level, exactly what many feared from the start.
Results were the headline issue, but leadership problems ran deeper. Amorim showed little trust in the academy. Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho were sidelined. Kabi Manu barely featured. Most damaging of all, he lost the dressing room. His press conferences became harsh and unnecessary. Over 14 months, repeated public criticism of players and the squad eroded trust and morale. That breakdown proved fatal.
Now Manchester United begin another rebuild. New names are already circulating. The question remains the same. Can any manager truly fix a club whose problems run far deeper than the man on the touchline?
Now it's your turn. Share your thoughts on the future of Manchester United in the comments. Where do you think the club goes from here?